people have forgotten me. They have burned incense to vanity, and they have caused them to stumble in their ways from the ancient path, to walk in paths in a way not cast off. Then they that revered the Lord spake often one to another, and the Lord hearkened and heard it, and a book of remembrance was written before him. For them that revered the Lord and that thought upon his name. I have considered the days of old, the years of ancient times. I call to remembrance my song in the night. I commune with mine own heart, and my spirit made diligent search. Thus saith the Lord, stand ye in the ways, and see and ask for the old paths, where is the good way, and walk therein, and ye shall find rest for your souls. But they said, we will not walk therein. And the Lord shall guide thee continually, and satisfy thy soul in drought, and make fat thy bones. And thou shalt be like a watered garden, and like a spring of water, whose waters fail not. And they that shall be of thee shall build the old waste places. Thou shalt raise up the foundations of many generations, and thou shalt be called the repairer of the breach, the restorer of paths to dwell in. Then they that revere the Lord spake often one to another, and the Lord hearkened and heard it, and a book of remembrance was written before him. For them that revere the Lord, and that thought upon his name. I have considered the days of old, the years of ancient times. I call to remembrance my song in the night. I commune with mine own heart, and my spirit made diligent search. Thus saith the Lord, sound ye, and thus saith the Lord, stand ye in the ways, and see in the ways, and see and ask for the old paths, where is the good way, and walk therein, and ye shall find rest for your souls. So then, with commune with mine own heart, and my spirit made diligent search. Thus saith the Lord, stand ye in the ways, and see and ask for the old paths, where is the good way, and the Lord shall guide thee continually, and satisfy thy soul in drought, and make fat thy bones. And thou shalt be like a watered garden, and like a spring of water, whose waters fail not. And they that shall be of thee shall build the old waste places. Thou shalt raise up the foundations of many generations, and thou shalt be called the repairer of the breach, the restorer of paths to dwell
And now let us discern between what is righteous and what is wicked. Let's go to Genesis chapter 1, and let's read verse 4. It says, and God saw the light, that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. Now drop down to verse 10. It says, and God called the dry land earth, and gathered together of the waters called he seas. And God saw that it was good. Now drop down to verse 12. It says, and the earth brought forth grass, and herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And let's drop down to verse 18. And it says, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And drop down to verse 21. It says, and God created great whales, and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And drop down to verse 25. It says, and God made the beast of the earth after his kind, and cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. And God saw that it was good. Now, family, we have talked about what this word good means in Hebrew before. This word tawab, that breaks down to mean whole, complete, and not in need of anything. Now, family, I really want you to understand what it means when it says good. So let's get a little bit more understanding on good. What makes something good? Let's go into John chapter 1 and let's read verses 1 through 5. John chapter 1, 1 through 5. It says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. And the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. So, family, what is that telling you? That is telling you that goodness is connected to life and light. And furthermore, the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness cannot understand it. It says it comprehended it not. Do you understand what that is saying? That means built right into creation is the capacity for light and darkness, for good and evil. This is why it is broken down so eloquently in Isaiah chapter 45. Let's read it. Isaiah chapter 45 verse 7. It says, I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. It is not telling you that he is putting out some emanating force with a purpose meant to kill, steal, and destroy. What it is telling you is that the option is there. You guys remember we've been talking about agency. That's our ability to choose. Free will. Not going to go back into that too heavily right now, but we have talked about the sanctity of agency and the depredation of agency, and how there is a righteous way to choose and there is a wicked way to choose. And we can choose light and understanding, or we can choose darkness where there is no understanding. And these were the very first things created. Let's read it. Genesis chapter 1, verse 3. And God said, let there be light, and there was light. Verse 4. And God saw the light, that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. So from the very beginning, we see a distinction is made. There is a division, and the division is between light and darkness. Don't forget, we're talking about righteousness and wickedness, good and evil. And there is a level of understanding that can stop right here. And you got it. You got the point. You got the understanding. But let's go deeper, a little bit deeper. Where do we go when we want to find out how to discern between what is righteous and what is wicked? Let's go to Malachi chapter 3, and let's read verses 16 through 18. Malachi chapter 3, verses 16 through 18. It says, Then they that feared the Lord spake often one to another, and the Lord hearkened and heard it, And a book of remembrance was written before him for them that revered the Lord and that thought upon his name. And they shall be mine, saith the Lord of hosts, in that day when I make up my jewels, and I will spare them, as a man spareth his own son that serveth him. Then shall ye return and discern between the righteous and the wicked, between him that serveth God and him that serveth him not. So family, this scripture makes it very clear that those who think about the Father, that think about his name, his character, who he is, that form that relationship with him, family, those that are his. How do we know this is relationship based? Because he says that I will spare them as a man spareth his own son that serveth him. He's making it personal. He's saying, you chose me. What did it say? Choose this day whom you will serve. Well, those that choose the Father, that choose to have him for a father, that choose the light, this book is written for you. Do you understand? And then it says, then shall ye return and discern between the righteous and the wicked, between him that serveth God and him that serveth him not. So it's very clear that the book of remembrance can definitely help you to understand this. So let's go deeper. Let's go into the book of remembrance. Now, the volume of the book of remembrance that we're going to go into is the book of remembrance of Enoch. That's the book of remembrance of Enoch, the Essene book of Haggai. And we're going to go to chapter 8. That's chapter 8, and we're going to start reading at verse 18, and we're going to read all the way through verse 23. That's the book of remembrance of Enoch, chapter 8, verses 18 through 23. It says, and herein lies a great mystery. All of the righteousness that is built into creation is and will be throughout all the course of the earth, after the exact manner and the very nature of the pattern of the righteousness in these first 7 generations, starting with Yatsakad and Kavah, that's Adam and Eve, and it will endure to be so during all the course of man, and it will be the only definition of righteousness. The only definition of righteousness, family. Remember, righteousness is having the right relationship with everything, even if it means not having a relationship with it, because you ain't supposed to mess with everything. There are some things that you don't need to have a relationship with. So it says, and it will be the only definition of righteousness, the Ir Kadeshi, that's the holy watchers, that's creation, the holy watchers in creation that did not fall from their first estate. That's who the Ir Kadeshi are. It says, and it will be the only definition of righteousness the Ir Kadeshi will recognize easily as being utterly pure and a part of their souls. And also, the wickedness that is built into the fallen spirits in creation is and will be after the very nature and likeness of the wicked during these first 7 generations, starting with Kenna and Awan, that's Cain and his wife Awan, and this also will endure in the exact likeness of it, all through the course of the earth, until wickedness is done away. And I tell you now, little son, that we call the wicked elements of the earth the Decadarchi, because they have fallen into decay, together with their leader, Motsar, the decadent. So family, when it says Decadarchi, that's talking about the fallen watchers. And when it says their leader, Motsar the decadent, that's talking about Semihaza, or as you probably know him by, Satan. That's who that's talking about. All right, picking back up where we left off, we were right there at verse 20. It says, and I tell you now, little son, that we call the wicked elements of the earth the Decadarchi, because they have fallen into decay, together with their leader, Motsar the decadent. And all the holy watchers we call the Irkadeshi, because they have eternally chosen the pathway of righteousness, and they have eyes to see, Anoki said. That's the Father, family. I am loving kindness. That's what that says. It says, and they have eyes to see, Anoki said. And righteousness or wickedness by definition will remain within the boundaries of the natures and desires of the specific individuals of these first 7 generations of man. And there will be no other righteousness, and there will be no other wickedness during all the course of the earth, for all of their ways are set in this first great 70. And thus are the sons of heaven divided in every generation before the eyes of all men who live upon the earth. And I now say to all those who live during the tribulation times, the mystery of how to behold and how to put to use the arm of the Lord is thus revealed to you. For when the Irkadeshi recognize someone as righteous according to the definition that is in them, then the presence of the Prince of Righteousness, who is Motsa the Lamb, that's Jesus Christ, for you card-carrying Christians who haven't heard this before, that's then the presence of the Prince of Righteousness, who is Motsa the Lamb, and the comprehension of all that he does in his holiness is able to flow freely into the hearts of the godly, and it is able to be seen by their eyes and heard in their souls. And when the Decadarchi recognize someone as being wicked, according to the definition that is in them, then by their support and instruction, the beast of the earth shall arise, and the nature of their chosen way is also able to flow into their souls to bring death and avarice. For this reason, it is urgent upon all those who would be holy, who can be blessed enough to know the nature of the righteous in the first great 70, to follow dutifully and diligently their examples in righteousness. For surely I say unto you, that rich blessings will flow to spare the righteous from evil. For all the watchers of holiness can recognize and protect one of their own, and evil is quite sufficient to deal with those who are filled with the lust of the world. And great shall be the sorrow and dismay of the wicked, and calamity shall follow upon calamity, and it shall pursue them. Therefore, it is expedient upon the righteous of the last day that they give careful heed to pattern their righteousness after that of these first 7 generations. And the Lord ended his speaking to Enoch before the Urim. So family, do you see why it is so important that you learn how to exercise your agency in the way that you need to exercise it? Because like I said before, there is a sanctity of agency and there is a depredation of agency. Let's go back to Joshua chapter 24 and let's read verse 15. It says, and if it seem evil unto you to serve the Lord, choose you this day whom ye will serve, whether the gods which your fathers served that were on the other side of the flood, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land ye dwell. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. You see, family, the reason why he is distinguishing the gods that were on the other side of the flood is because it is a direct reference to the Decadarchi. Because remember, the Decadarchi are all connected to elements in the earth, rudiments. You understand? And remember that these things were buried in the earth at the time of the flood. And let me tell you, all of these fallen watchers, they present themselves as good things, as comfortable things, as desirable things. And they will have you thinking that that's the way that it's intended to be. They'll make you think that you can't live without them. But that is a trick of the adversary, because everything in creation that the Father has given to us, everything that did not leave their first estate, well, these things are good. You understand? They are good, and there is light and life in them. And that is why the elements of the holy watchers were used to bury the elements of the fallen watchers. That's why the rains came upon the earth and the floods were able to go down and wash these things down deep into the earth. You understand? If you understand, type into the comments, I see the light. Now, family, we're not done. We're almost done, but we're not done. Let's go and see what the Messiah had to say about this. Let's go into the book of Matthew, chapter 7. Matthew, chapter 7, and let's read verses 16 through 20. Matthew, chapter 7, verses 16 through 20. The Messiah said, "Ye shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles? Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. Every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is hewn down and cast into the fire." Family, what was the Messiah talking about here? Don't you know, family, that he used the example of trees for a reason? Because trees, family, are widely known and accepted as holy watchers, family. The trees are the holy watchers that are known as Kabodiel. It means the glory of God. He used the trees as a stand-in for the word watchers as a whole, because he wanted you to understand that you live in a world that is full of watchers, both holy and fallen. But how are you supposed to discern between which watchers are good and which watchers are evil? Well, for one thing, family, you got to consider the source. Consider that the holy watchers are good. They're whole, complete, and they're not in need of anything. But it is by their fruit that ye shall know them. Now, if y'all want to learn more about the Irkadeshi and the Dekadarchi, so you can even be able to recognize their fruit, then just look at my playlist here on YouTube. I have a playlist called The Holy Watchers, and I have a playlist called The Fallen Watchers. And the Holy Watchers playlist is all about the Irkadeshi, and the Fallen Watchers playlist is all about the Dekadarchi. Also, when we were reading in the book of Remembrance of Enoch, you may have noticed that it was talking about those first 7 generations. Well, we have multiple videos talking about those first 7 generations and different things that they did. But the video that comes to mind right now is the video that I did about the 7 wicked grandfathers, or 7 evil grandfathers. Something like that is called. But check that out. It talks quite a bit about those first 7 generations and what they did in their wickedness to start the wickedness on this path. And of course, we have many videos on the righteous and the different things that the righteous did. And I can't even pinpoint it to a single video, at least in my mind right now. Maybe I do have a video that sums it up quite well. With that said, family, remember that I love each and every one of you. The Wada Kai. Thank you, Holy Spirit. All praises to Anoki said. That's all praises to the great I am loving kindness. Bahashim Yeshaya. Bahashim Motza the Lamb. In the name of the Messiah. This is little son Sabal, Nabaya, saying much love and much shalom. From the book of remembrance of Moses. And Moses said, I do not even know what they will call your name. Who should I tell the spokesman it was that sent me? And the Lord said, tell him that the great I am loving kindness has sent you, for they know me by that name. And Moses wept, and he said, the children of Israel will not hearken unto my words, for I am nothing before all men. And the Lord drew near, and he said, arise, my son, and pray whatsoever you will, and it shall be done according to your word. And all the Irkadeshi will obey you. Rivers will obey you. The clouds and the wind will obey you. The mountains will heed your words. And when the house of Israel shall behold all these things, surely they will give heed unto your words. For you are called and have been ordained after the order of Melchizedek, and I am your God. And this day know that I will go before you. This day is the beginning of the time of decision for the house of Israel.